So listen up. If you've been listening in for a while, then you know that this podcast mixes real talk about entrepreneurship with some of those deeper lessons that really only make sense once you've experienced them for yourself. And if you're new here, I want to take the time to say welcome, because you've picked the perfect episode to join in on, because I want to zoom out to ask the question that every entrepreneur is going to face eventually. And a lot of times, you're going to face this question over and over and over again, especially when you start to face challenges. And that's, why am I really doing this? So I'm going to share my why story, and hopefully it sparks your story in return. One of the biggest questions that I get, especially since I've started this podcast, is why printing? And the second biggest question that I get is, why exactly did you start with a franchise instead of building something from scratch? So I want to make sure that I am addressing those two questions because I get those all the time. But I want to pull some threads together and make some connections to some of the past conversations that I've discussed. And again, if you're new here, then I would love for you to go back and listen to some of those previous episodes. And while you're listening in, I want to make sure that you understand the importance of thinking about your own bigger picture as you listen to me talk about mine. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the question that I have been getting constantly, and that's, why printing? I have been asked this so many times in so many different ways, and I can only imagine what's going through some people's heads when they ask me this question, because from the outside looking in, printing might seem really, really old school and just an antiquated process. And some people may be thinking that no one gets prints anymore, right? Wrong. Sometimes they'll say, why not tech or consulting, or I guess something that feels more modern to them. But here's the thing. For me, printing just isn't about ink on paper. And if you talk to any person that has a printing business or a printer by trade, they're going to say the same thing. It's not just about the ink on paper. It's about the communication. It's about the visibility. And it's really about helping someone's message show up in this world in a very tangible way. And I saw printing as this perfect intersection because it gave me a chance to build this brick and mortar business, create jobs, which is something that I've always wanted to do. And I wanted to be a part of how small businesses just put themselves out there, because I love that sort of thing. I get to go and visit businesses and talk to them about how I can help extend their brand through printing. Granted, there's a lot of other ways that businesses can extend their brand. You have social media, you have those digital boards, you have radio, you have all of these other mediums that you can use to get the word out about your services, your business, your brand. And printing is just an extension of that. And I really do enjoy being able to help someone extend their brand that way. So really, every brochure, every business card, every bulk mail piece, every banner, that was B. Not intentionally, but really everything that we print, it carries someone's vision out into this world. And I don't take that lightly. Actually, that's very powerful for me. Going into an industry where I can do all of those things and connect it into my background, which we'll get into in a little bit, it was the perfect segue for me. So here's a fun fact about my store. We're actually 20 years old. This year, we celebrated our 20th year, and that's a long time, right? It's a long time. Let me give you some context about my store, particularly my store. And when it first opened, it was known as a shipping and packing store. And so this was a place where people sent their packages, their mail pieces, and even got some fancy gift wrapping during the holidays. In the town where my center is located, there's no post office. 20 years ago, a lot of people actually referred to my center as the next best thing to the post office. So the community really saw this business as handling just shipping and mail pieces. And so while we still do ship and we have long-standing relationships with most of the major carriers, which allows us to pass on those competitive rates to our customers, I'm going to be really, really honest here when I say that shipping is changing. It's changing a lot. Most people order online and they ship from home. In the days where you would purchase a gift and send it over to a loved one via mail, now you can purchase those gifts online and you can just ship them to your loved one. And you can just do all of that on one system. And then for the resellers can actually purchase their shipping labels online and just print the labels off at home and just drop them off somewhere. The truth is that my business has evolved so much to whereas we do way more printing than we do shipping. And we don't even do the packing or the fancy gift wrapping or any of those things that it was known for 20 years ago. We do more printing, and we're able to print and ship those print jobs off to the customers. And when I bought this business, I knew that I had the challenge of changing how people in my community saw us. And I was down for it. I love a good challenge. And the previous owner, she was doing printing for businesses across the state and beyond. My local customers in my community, they still saw us as this pack and ship store because that's what we have been to them for so long. I can see improvement all the time because our local printing base has absolutely increased. And so has our non-local printing base. And that's a great thing. But I still wanted to be able to have my town and my area see us as a printing hub, a place where they can come and get their brand extended. The services that we were providing for everyone else, I wanted to be able to provide for my community as well. And so, this was just one of the things that attracted me to this business. But it was also the fact that the business was evolving into this printing place. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to be able to dig into. Let me tell you why. Because I want to make sure that I am making the connections. My background is in product management and UX design and research. So at first glance, you might wonder, what does a person with user experience do with printing? And my response is everything. Everything. Because UX, user experience, is all about the experience. How do people engage with the product? How do they engage with the service, the message? What do they feel when they see it, when they touch it? Does it make sense? Is it clear? Does it move them to action, to become a customer? Like, that is all about the user experience. And so for me, that mindset translates so perfectly into printing. Because printing is just another touch point in the user's experience. You get it? A postcard in the mail, a banner at an event, a business card that you slide across the table to someone you just met. These are all moments of contact. And when they're designed with intention, they become memorable and they help to extend your brand. That's why I chose printing, because I see the synergy. I see that it just isn't about producing materials. It's not about, just creating something and having something generically printed. It's about producing impact. And when I merge my UX background with printing, I focus not just on making things, but I want to make things that actually work. In a recent episode, I talked about developing customer personas. Guess what that is? UX thinking. Who's your audience? Who do they care about? How do they want to be spoken to? What do they like? What are their pain points? That's all UX thinking. And there was another episode about AI and marketing. And that's all about optimizing and innovating while making sure that that human experience is still centralized. So I see printing sitting in that ecosystem. It's right there. And when done right, it makes your message stronger. The takeaway is this: printing is not dead. It's not. It's evolving. How people engage with messages, that's changing. But print is going to remain one of the most trusted, intangible, and personable ways to communicate. For the businesses that weave print into their larger strategy, so they have all of these touch points, and one of them is also print. And when they do that with the same care that they would give to creating a website or ad campaign. It's not an afterthought to them. Those businesses win. They win because they get it. They get that marketing is this multifaceted approach. And one of the branches on this approach is printing. Now that I've talked about why printing, I want to talk about the second question that I have been getting, and that's why a franchise? Why not start something from scratch? And I'll be real with you when I say that I have started businesses from scratch, and it's tough. It's rewarding and it's tough. And I understand if that's what you're doing, if you're starting something from scratch, I understand the grind of all of that, because that is a heavy lift. And I did not want to take on that heavy lift with this venture. And so starting with a franchise, it gave me a support system. It gave me processes. It gave me resources. It gave me a foundation. And I want to be clear when I say this, that owning a franchise does not mean that you get to coast. It does not. The challenges are so real. And you're still carrying the weight of ownership. You have employees, you have customers to service, you have a reputation. All of that is absolutely and definitely on you. I did an episode about negative reviews, what to do when you receive one, and just kind of how to move forward. Because when someone leaves a negative review for your business, they're not thinking about corporate. I can promise you that they're not thinking that I'm going to leave this negative review and the corporate franchise is going to see it and respond to it. No. They're thinking about you, your store, your name, and how your business made them feel. So you have to own that, right? That's all you. But let me tell you what the franchise did give me. It gave me a framework. It came with the responsibility of me taking that framework and shaping how I wanted it to show up in my business with my name attached to it. But I chose the franchise that I chose. It's because there was some flexibility in how I operate my store. Yes, there are guidelines, but there's some flexibility in what services I can provide, just different ways that I can operate within my business. It's not as stringent as maybe some other franchises are. Now that I've answered some of those questions, I want to talk about what this means for you. You need to ask yourself the same questions that I did. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why did you choose that industry? Why that business model? Why this strategy? Why that way of showing up and serving people? Because when that's clear, your decisions now have direction. And I also want to add, not to be afraid of the synergy. Don't silo your skills. Just like my background in UX research and design, I was able to connect that over into this industry. There may also be something that you can connect into your industry or into something that you've always wanted to do as well. And your background in that one area might make you more powerful in another. For me, that background of UX and printing became a unique brand identity for me. And for you, it may be something completely different. Because here's the kicker. You don't have to figure this out alone. You can use your friends, your professional network. I love the concept of co-opetition, which is someone that would, for all intents and purposes, appear to be a competitor, may be the greatest advantage and the greatest partnership that you can ever build. Tapping into people that are in the same industry as you and using them, using each other to grow your businesses. Because sometimes clarity about why you're doing things and the motivations behind what you're doing, it comes not just from you grinding by yourself, but from partnering with others that complement what you bring. So, circling back, bringing it all back together to why my why has led me here. It's led me to printing, to being a part of a franchise, to merging design and UX with ink and paper. And I do want to say that the past episodes, they weren't just one-off conversations. They're part of this bigger entrepreneurship story. Because running a business is never about just one topic at a time or one thing at a time. It's about juggling all of those things. And sometimes you're juggling all of those things at the same time. But somehow you have to keep the why central. So it has to be a focal point through all of that. That's what I hope that this podcast continues to be. A place where we can talk about all of those intersections and have honest conversations about them. If this resonates with you, I'd love to keep this conversation going. Because in my business, this is what I live every day. Helping entrepreneurs bring clarity, design, and impact to their messages. And I do it through print. Your way can be completely different. And that's exactly what I want to do with this podcast. So I'll keep bringing you the stories and the strategies that make entrepreneurship a little bit more real, a lot less messy, and a lot more connected. I want to continue to make the chaos make sense. Thanks for listening, y'all. Until next time, I want you to keep building something that matters.